Now, what is the most difficult part of going to the pageant? What is the most difficult part of being in Continental?
I would say there is never, and you probably could ask that question to 1,000 girls. I don't think that there is ever enough money. Like when when you think, sometimes I be thinking, boy, I'm gonna be good here and here and here, and then something will always pop up, and it's like, boy, I could really use an extra $300 or $400. so,
Mhm.
so I would say that there is never enough money. Aside from the financial part of it, preparation in itself is difficult because you have to keep in mind that while you're preparing, you got 20 some other girls preparing as well. And you're trying your best to edit, as best as possible to make sure that you're actually going to put the best things on stage. You're going to take the best everything to present to the judges because you're not the only one preparing. And no matter how good your support system is, someone else may have an even better support system. So, so that's not lost on me. I struggle. My support system is very small, um, you know, but we do what we can do to put my best foot forward.
Now, I want to talk about this for a minute because she mentioned it here on the paper. Roxy Andrews talked something about Continental being cookie cutter. As a past Miss Continental Plus, she spoke about that last year about Continental being cookie cutter. What do you think?
Isn't every pageant, like, we all know what every system expects?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Roxy Andrews meant that as a negative or she was just saying it in general. I do recall the incident or the
Mm-hmm.
moment she said it. I recall that. But every system has its expectation, and we go
Mm-hmm.
to those systems. We're tethered to those systems for those expectations. Um, and sometimes you'll notice that if we deviate and go to a different system that we're not usually going to, we seem
Mm-hmm.
a little lost, like we seem a little lost in the forest because we are, because that system has its flavor, just like Continental has its flavor. And I think it's our job as, people who compete to really find what system shapes us best, what system fits us best. Um, so I don't think it's a negative if in fact Continental is cookie cutter. I don't take it as a negative, but I will add this. There have been some contestants that have won Continental that were very unique in their own way, to a point where you would say they made Continental buy what they were selling. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's impressive, because that lets you know that Continental is not stuck. Even if they're cookie cutter, they're not stuck. They're not opposed to accepting something different, So
Mm-hmm.
I think all of these systems have the ability to be cookie cutter, but I think at the same time, you want to be a part of a system that's not stuck into that cookie cutter framework.
Mm-hmm. Now let's say this. Let's say Miss World Continental Summer Breeze won Miss Continental this weekend, the Continental
Yes.
weekend. Let's say you won Miss Continental Plus coming up. What would be your first thing you would do? Because social media is huge now. What would be your first thing you would do? Because you say Summer Breeze is not really known. So for you to be Miss Continental, that's not very well known, what would Summer Breeze, Miss World Continental Plus, do in her first, let's say, first week of duties?
I would say the first thing that I would truly want to do is to introduce access to myself to people. Introduce access to myself to promoters. I think that we definitely need to get more promoters involved into the system, because without those prelims, there is no rain.
Mhm.
I could win all day long, and if there's no prelims to go to, then there's no rain there. So it's important that I reach out to those individuals who are interested in being promoters, and some of those individuals who may have been promoters in the past, and try to, bring them back into the fold. But the
Mhm.
main thing is to give access to myself, because a lot of times I think that people have preconceived notions about folks that they don't have access to.
Mhm.
And it's important to me that I give access to myself to others, and let
Mhm.
them know that you can reach out to me. You can ask me any question. I'm always there for you, you know. And if there's anything that I can do to assist, that's what I'm here for. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do, because everybody is on social media now. So just
Mhm.
so just to say that I'm going to be more visible on social media, that's not necessarily what I would consider something that is going to make any kind of difference. I think right now, with everybody being exposed to social media in the ways that they are, I think now we have to do something a little more personable.